Yo, what is up guys? It's the Goblin and today is the day. Earlier today, the patch notes were released. A huge update was available for this game and basically the PC update is set to go live tomorrow, but for PS4 and Xbox, it's already been live around 11 or 12 gigabytes. And like I predicted in my last video saying that the update could come out today, and that was the rumor, it did. And I'm going to cover everything you guys need to know about the patch notes that came out earlier today, as well as my opinions on them and different stuff like that. If you guys could smack a like on this video, let's go for 1,500 likes. That would be absolutely amazing. On previous Call of Duty games, I've covered all the patch notes whenever anything important came out. For this year, it's actually taken them like over 2 weeks to do this first patch that actually affects balancing changes, but we're going to talk about it and cover everything you need to know in tonight's video. So smack a like on this thing. Let's go for 1,500. Subscribe if you guys are new, and I'm going to go through and talk about the important stuff to you. So I think you guys are going to want to watch till the end. All right, let's go and let's start it off. So basically, Gun Game was added into the game. If you guys are a fan of Gun Game, no parties are allowed in it. Super duper awesome game mode. Mercenary Deathmatch was added to featured instead of Mercenary Capture. It's Mercenary Deathmatch now. And Chaos Domination was also added. With Chaos Domination has 3-second captures, 150 point rounds, and 6v6. So I don't know what that is, but that sounds super duper interesting to myself. Next change is Hardcore TDM and Hardcore Kill confirmed. You can now pick 2 specialists per team, and it now is 6v6. All right, let's get to the important stuff. Let's get to the stuff we're waiting on. Assault rifles. Let's talk about it, Treyarch. We're dialing back some previous buffs to assault rifles to help close the gap in effectiveness between ARs and SMGs, allowing SMGs to be more effective at firing on the move. So this is similar to what we said in my last video. I said, and you guys in the comments all agreed, or most of you guys agreed, that they need to mess with the ARs and the SMGs. So this is what they've done. ICR, they hit it with reduced headshot damage and a slight reduction to reload speed. Now, that is a nerf to the ICR, and in my opinion, that's not going to be enough. This gun's still going to be a monster. A reduced headshot damage doesn't really matter because you don't really go for headshots with that gun. It's kind of like a laser beam. And a slight reduction to the reload speed, that could hurt it because there's no fast mags available on this gun. But we'll have to wait and see. I think that still having no recoil and the fast fire rate, I don't know, the ICR could receive a double buff after this. Or double nerf, sorry. The Vapor, reduced close range headshot damage. Damage now falls off sooner, and high caliber reduced headshot multiplier, eliminating the possibility of a 3-hit kill. So the Vapor, they basically made it so it's not as effective at range, because that was the thing about the Vapor. It's so good at close range, but it was also so good at long range. So the damage fall off sooner definitely will be a nerf to that gun, and make it so it performs at the close to medium range, but it can't like outplay the ICR at distance. So that's all they affected with the ICRs, was 2 nerfs to the top two ARs. As far as the SMGs go, this is what they say about the SMGs. Mobility is the primary strength of SMGs, speeding across the map to engage or disengage quickly. Some of the close range SMGs were performing quite well, while others struggled to compete with the rest of the category. This week's balancing pass levels the playing field between SMGs. So the first thing they did with the MX9, which was kind of a mediocre SMG, and the SMGs were weak in general, extended all damage ranges, which is very, very good for an SMG like this, which doesn't have that much recoil, and you can actually do damage at range. So that's a good buff for the MX9. At high caliber, they reduced the headshot multiplier, eliminating the possibility of a 4-hit kill. So they nerfed high caliber. I don't know who used high caliber in the MX9, but there you go. You got a buff overall. Next is the Cordite SMG. Buffed all damage ranges, which is extended all damage ranges, which is nice, but with the Cordite, you're not really going to be using it at damage ranges. I was expecting maybe a recoil buff, and it looks like they haven't messed with recoil at all. I think kind of because of the predictive recoil in this game, maybe they don't want to mess with it in patch updates, which is kind of scary now. That hopefully they do mess with recoils in the future, but we'll have to wait and see, because maybe they've changed it on different weapons. We're just through the first couple. So the Cordite, they extended all damage ranges, so a nice little buff there. And then they also nerfed the belt feed, increased overheat rate, which, okay, I guess makes sense. It was one of the most powerful operator mods in the game, but it was on kind of a weaker weapon, the Cordite, but that's what you get with it. GKS surprisingly received only a nerf to its quad shot. They nerfed a lot of the operator mods because they were super duper strong. The quad shot, which turns the GKS into a 4-round burst, I believe. Slight time increase between bursts. And then the SOG 9mm, the dual wield, they reduced the hipfire accuracy. That dual wield was actually like the fastest killing gun in the game or something like that. It was like a 0.2 millisecond kill, or 0.2 of a second kill, so 20 milliseconds. I think it was absolutely crazy how fast it could kill people. And of course, they've reduced the hipfire accuracy now on those akimbo SOG 9mm. Now, tactical rifles. We've buffed the ABR more competitive with the other tactical rifles while stepping down its operator mod to keep it becoming from a crutch attachment. The Swordfish receives some attachment adjustments as well. So here we go, attachment adjustments. This is another thing that I talked about that could be happening. Let's see what they've done. The ABR. I don't think the ABR was that weak before. I really don't, but they've extended the maximum damage range, big buff. The repeater operator mod now takes longer to accelerate fire rate, so nerf to the operator mod, which I didn't use on my class setup anyway. Stock, slight reduction in movement speed bonus, nerf to that. Like, I don't get this, how they say they're buffing something, but then they buff the damage range and then hit it with nerf on a bunch of other stuff. So they nerf stock, which is something I used on this class setup, so that kind of affects me. And then laser sight 1 and 2 are buffed. Why would I want to use laser sight, though, on the ABR? It's just, I don't really understand what they're going for around that weapon, but it is, I guess, a buff to the range, as long as you don't use the operator mod or stock. You didn't get part of the nerf. Next is Swordfish. High caliber, they reduced the headshot multiplier, eliminating the possibility of a 3-hit kill, so they want to reduce the one-shots available without having the pentaburst. And then the pentaburst, they reduced the extra granted clip size. So a lot of nerfs, a lot of buffs coming into like core weapons, and a lot of nerfs coming into operator mods. I think just to avoid those being overpowered maybe in the competitive scene if they're not banned or something like that. Next is sniper rifles. The other sniper rifles needed help to fight King Paladin. I usually use the sniper rifles when I play Blackout, and the Paladin, the gold Paladin, is usually always what you're looking for. We're giving these rifles reduced idle sway and upping their damage to help finish off wounded targets more consistently. Remove turn sway when aiming down sight on all sniper rifles to better ensure the weapon reticles stay centers while tuning. Now with the Paladin, they've had high caliber 2. Hitting the lower torso on a full TAC 5 will no longer be a one-hit kill. So a little bit of a nerf to a Paladin, which is nice because I use the TAC 5, so maybe I won't get one shot by the sniper. FMJ 2, improved damage against score streaks. Stabilizer 2, player can now hold breath as sooner after the previous hold breath. So slight changes to the Paladin there, some little nerfs and buffs to attachments. The Outlaw Sniper, improved base damage from 110 to 130, that is huge. Reduced idle sway, increased base movement, and stock increased in slight ADS movement speed bonus. So some big buffs to the Outlaw with stock. This could be an absolute monster now. The SDM, they increased the clip size from 10 to 12, reduced the idle sway, and the Koshka increased damage from 120 to 140, and also the stock gives you a little bit of a slight increase in ADS movement bonus speed. So look out for the Koshka and the Outlaw now with that stock, maybe a bit higher damage, maybe getting some more one-shot kills and stuff like that, and more multipliers on those guns. Next is the LMGs. Some of the community have discovered that the Titan and VKM are extremely effective weapons. Yep, they are. We're toning them down before everyone jumps on the bandwagon. While they'll still be scary to face off against, these players will now have a more reasonable chance to defend themselves against these LMGs. So like I said before, this is it. This is the big patch where they're hitting everything on the nail. They're dealing with everything, and this is of course LMGs. Titan, they reduced the headshot damage on the Titan. They reduced the hipfire accuracy, which was one of the things that made this thing a monster, is the fact you could just hipfire and spray out SMG players. And then the stock, they reduced the ADS movement speed. So honestly, a pretty big nerf to the Titan, and while I'll still use the Titan, it'll still be fun to use. You know, you're probably going to be better off with like an ICR or a Rampart, you know, guns that have been nerfed slightly or not touched compared to this. VKM reduced movement speed while firing, reduced damage, and the Fat Barrel mod reduced bullet tracer size. The Hades, the Crossbar operator mod reduced movement speed and accuracy. Steady Grip improved recoil mitigation. Pistols, there's a slight reduction to ADS in transition speed for all pistols. And the RK57 Garrison, a slight increase to the time between bursts and a slight increase to reload speed. So that's what we have as far as that goes. And I missed one thing going back to the ARs, and this was actually an important thing that I actually missed about the AR, so I want to get back to this. On all of the, and I'm just noticing now because it's kind of in fine print on the patch notes, but on all of the ARs, on all of them, slight reduction to ADS move speed for all assault rifles, and a slight reduction to ADS in transition speed for all assault rifles. So the Rampart, the KN, these ones were touched. They were nerfed as well. And a slight reduction to ADS move speed on ARs. There already isn't stock available on these ARs. So now they want us moving like a statue back and forth. I'm not a fan of that. I don't think that's the right way to go about the nerf. It's just handicapping players more. I think they should have reduced recoil or something like that, but obviously they didn't want to touch it. So slight reduction to ADS move speed means you're going to move slower back and forth, well, ADS with the ARs, and that was already slow. And ADS in transition speed means like your aim down sight time or your aim down sight out of sprint speeds are going to be slower as well. So actually some pretty big nerfs to all of the ARs, especially the Vapor. They hit that one hard, and the ICR, they hit it medium. So we got through LMGs, pistols, RK7 Garrison, increased the time between bursts, reduction to reload speed, that of course was your RK5 from previous games, your burst weapon. Shotguns. This weapon class is close to where we want it to be, with only a couple of specific attachments performing better than intended. Shotguns in Black Ops 4 play a different role than most in past Call of Duty titles, and those who have practiced cat and mouse gameplay can be highly effective with them. The MOG 12. The choked barrel attachment, one-hit kill range reduced, and the Dragon's Breath operator mod resolved an issue where the Dragon's Breath occasionally triggered incorrect visual and sound effects on targets. So they really only nerfed, though, the choked barrel. The Dragon's Breath was a resolved an issue. It wasn't a nerf. So MOG 12 is probably still pretty good. Maybe just try it without a different attachment, without the choked barrel, or maybe it's still worth using. I'm not really sure. SG-12, this one, of course, had the strobe light, which everyone was hating. Address an issue with the strobe light where it would remain on after death. Live update coming soon to reduce the range at which the strobe light interferes with enemy aim. So they haven't updated it yet, I guess. They mean like a live hotfix that's coming up in the future. They're going to sort of affect that, and you know, basically it won't affect you unless you're close up to the shotgun, which is how it should work. Here we go, some more nerfs that might affect the ICR. There's just more and more as it comes down to it, so maybe I shouldn't have spoke so early, because there's so much more. Grip 2, reduced ADS flinch mitigation. That is a big nerf to the ICR and the GKS, which are probably the two guns you're going to use Grip 1 and Grip 2 on them. That really sucks for the ICR, it makes it more balanced, but that really sucked for a gun like the GKS, which that was what its strengths were. And that was nerfed. Suppressor, reduced damage fall off range. So that is a buff to the suppressor, I believe. They reduced the damage fall off range. I'm not sure. Is that a buff or a nerf? Reducing the damage fall off range. I think that is actually a nerf, because reducing the damage fall off ranges. I'm not really sure. Honestly, I'm not really sure. I think that is probably a nerf of the suppressor, which kind of sucks because yeah, it definitely does suck, because the suppressor in this game, it doesn't really affect that much. And this is another nerf that I think is trying to take out the Vapor. Reducing damage fall off ranges with the suppressor, they already reduced the damage ranges of the Vapor itself. So doing this is just doubling down on that, much like they did with the Grip 2. Yeah, they're really trying to hit the Vapor and the ICR pretty hard with that. Holographic sight optic, they reduced the ADS recoil, so there's actually less recoil now when you use the holographic. As far as other sights, they tend to hit those as well. The dual zoom optic now has reduced ADS recoil. The recon optic now has reduced ADS recoil. And then ELO has slightly increased ADS recoil. So they nerfed ELO, making it now give you more recoil, which kind of sucks. I don't see why a sight should really be affecting the recoil anyway. I thought it was more of a cosmetic change to what you preferred. But who knows? Now, maybe ELO isn't the way to go anymore. Maybe it's reflex, because you'll have a little bit more recoil with ELO. I'm not really sure. With sights, I usually just let it come down to personal preference of the player, and that's basically how it goes. Now, those are the gun changes that we have, the attachment changes. There was a lot of them. Next, what we need to talk about is the specialist changes, because that's pretty much the next thing we have to talk about, as well as they changed a few little things about score streaks, and then that's and a few things about spawns, and that's going to be it for tonight's video. So that's going to be it for the patch notes. But we still have a couple more things to cover. I know this is a long video, guys, so I appreciate you sticking with me, dropping likes and subscribing and everything. It's amazing. I appreciate the support. So Ajax, we're providing more strategic options to counteract ballistic shield and to help ensure the shield isn't activated too often. Explosives now apply partial damage to the front. Okay, so you can do damage with explosive to them, and the ballistic shield now takes longer to earn. So they basically said, yeah, we know this is overpowered, we'll give it to them less often. Nomad, we wanted to encourage Nomad to work more closely with his K9 unit to maximize effectiveness. Reduced K9 unit health by 10%. That's kind of a very minimal nerf to the dog. 10% when it already takes like 3 clips to take him out. Now what? It takes two and 2/3. You know, not that big of a nerf. The Nomad still will be really good, I think. Crash. While we're happy, this is my favorite specialist, so I hope this isn't too bad. While we're happy that our support specialist is so popular, he was a bit too effective as a score streak farmer. Okay, guilty. That's how I used him. You can also support your team and farm score streaks for yourself at the same time. It was sort of a win-win. Reduce the teammate used pack score event from plus 50 to plus 25. That's not that big of a nerf. That would probably only give you like 50 or 75 points on each streak anyway. It was more about getting the bonus for yourself on getting the kills, as well as getting the bonus on the bonus ammo. So I don't think that's that big of a nerf. I'm going to continue to use Crash. Next, Fire Break, and I like this. I don't know, obviously in my video I mentioned a lot of this stuff, and I guess great minds think alike, because I made that video just like 10 hours ago, 12 hours ago, but they covered everything pretty much. Fire Break, maybe it's a little bit more than that. It was today though. Purifier has been returned to its former glory. That sounds good to me. I gotta try that out now. Increase Purifier Flame to be a guaranteed eventual kill against a player who doesn't have Tac Mask equipped. So, another just bonus to run Tac Mask. I always run, not always, but I usually run it. And against Purifiers now, it's the way to go as well. Recon. Intelligence wins wars, and Recon is living proof. We have Intelligence. That Recon's Intelligence is too good, so we're reclassifying some of his sources. Kind of funny writing here on the blog post for the patch notes. Reduce Sensor Dart duration and resolved an issue where a voiceover would incorrectly state the player's sensor dart was destroyed. So a little nerf to the sensor dart there. Torque. Many in the community have embraced Torque with inventive playstyles, though he's still struggling on a broader scale. We've bolstered the effectiveness of his barricade. Oh, okay, so they buffed the guy with the barricade. This is a little plot twist. Increased earn rate for barricade, increased hit points for barricade, and addressed an issue that prevented TACOM from telling player that the barricade was taking damage. So, a buff to the barricades, which honestly already took so damn long to kill. That's interesting, and that's... I don't know, what do you guys think about that? Next is Prophet. Prophet's Tempest need an upgrade. Dude, this is all the stuff I was saying in my video. They should hire me to work on the patch notes, damn. Prophet's Tempest need an upgrade to stand a chance of competing with the rest of the specialists. Greatly increased Tempest projectile speed, slightly increased Tempest chain distance, resolved an issue where being hit by an explosive charge would disable the Tempest charge. So they left the knock part of it, but they buffed other aspects. And that's what we have as far as change of specialists. They really hit the ones that I talked about. Torque, Nomad, Ajax, Fire Break, Prophet. Those are the ones I talked about, and they covered most of those. Next is spawns. For domination spawns, they've adjusted Icebreaker, Contraband, Hacienda, Payload, Grid, Slums, Summit, Militia, Jungle, and Firing Range. So they've basically tuned the spawns overall on most maps. And they've added additional spawn points for people to anchor and hardpoint. Spawn adjustments made. So it looks like with the spawns, they're going to flip more often. I'm guessing. I'm just assuming that's what this means from these patch notes. Who really knows? This is a long video, like 17 minutes in to the commentary, because these patch notes are so damn intense. But yeah, basically the spawns have been messed with in Team Deathmatch, Domination, Hardpoint, Free-for-all, and Control on specific maps. The main ones being Slum, Summit, Militia, and Fire Range. Assuming those are competitive maps. And they're doing it for competitive. Who knows? Gear. Stim Shot. Increased time to fully heal the player. Good. I think Stim Shot needed a buff. It doesn't really help me because I use Acoustic, but I'm all for fair and balanced, and I think Acoustic was the way to go, and Stim Shot needed a buff, so they buffed it. Next is Armor. Resolved an issue where armor protected from more damage than intended. Basically, they just affect an error where High Caliber 2 wasn't doing as much to armor as it should, which sucks because that brings me back to a game where I was playing with High Caliber 2 with the Auger, and people were using armor. So now I'm pissed off because there's a glitch about that, but oh well, I still had a good gameplay. Next, Acoustic Sensor. Reduced the range at which sprinting enemies are detected. A little nerf to the Acoustic Sensor, which is interesting to see. I think it's really good, and it's going to be interesting to see if Stim Shot now becomes better because of that. Also, some changes to perks. Dead Silence. Reduced player movement, volume, and distance that players equipped with Dead Silence can be heard. The intention for Dead Silence is not to be completely silent, but also to not allow enemies to hear your movements from longer distances. So they can still hear you with Dead Silence now, especially with Acoustic Sensor on, which is probably pretty good for people that are sound horn. Engineer, extraction, helicopter, and heist will no longer be highlighted by the engineer perk, so it was giving you a little bit of an unfair advantage there in heist. And then score streaks, they fixed issues with the mantis. The dart got a little buff, increased explosive radius and damage. Players can now use a second dart when earning 2 dart score streaks. And then strike team, they prevented strike team kills from contributing towards other owners' kills without dying medals. So the strike team won't help you get the nuclear in anymore. So when going for a nuclear, that sort of switches up the plan of using UAV counter UAV strike team. You probably just want to run UAV counter and go for all gun kills now. You're going to need to get 30 gun kills. And then as far as other things they did that are just small, they reduced the ranges required for long shot medals for assault rifles, tactical rifles, SMGs, and light machine guns, trying to make it easier, of course, for people to earn camo. They increased the XP earn rate in Heist, which I think was needed, because in Heist, it was such a fun game mode, but because it took so long picking your setups and buying your guns and stuff like CSGO, it just took a little bit too long on that front, but that's basically what we have as far as that. So that's pretty much everything you need to know as far as multiplayer and the big patch notes we have. This is the first patch update. Usually what happens is after the first one, it creates other balancing errors, and then it's just a cycle of patch notes, patch notes, patch notes. So I'm going to keep you guys updated on every update that we do have. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. This is like, oh my goodness, like 20 minutes of content. So if you guys did enjoy, smack that like button. Hopefully you guys did, and if you guys did watch to the end, that would be absolutely amazing, because I think this is stuff that you guys need to know. If you're a fan of the game, watch to the end, because I tell you everything about the patch notes and how it affects the game. So thanks for watching, guys. Drop a like, subscribe if you guys are new. Have a great night. And yeah, I'm out. Peace.